You have been a very brave campaigner on this issue. And what really frustrates me about a lot of this, whenever this is reported, is how often they'll talk about, J.K. Rowling, who has been accused of transphobia, controversial comments about trans rights. And they're like, I don't think she has ever said anything that could ever remotely be construed as transphobic. And I don't think that she's ever said anything that would be construed by 95% of people as being controversial. Has she?
No, not at all. Of course, she isn't anti-trans. She's a great ally to all LGBT people. She is a feminist. She speaks up for women's rights. She understands that most women don't have the level of protection and privilege that she has. But what the trans activists are doing is that they're saying, if we can get to her, if we can make her life a misery, one of the most famous women on the planet, one of the most wealthiest women on the planet, then we can do it to others. So watch out, bitch, because we're coming for you. That's exactly what happens. I mean, I'll tell you, the accusations of transphobia are just so ludicrous, what they bandy around, what is now seen to be transphobic. They've set the bar so low that, as I've said before, it would flummox a world champion limbo dancer.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you've
Well,
got to
you're
say
just simply
anything.
refusing to say that trans women are women. One can be
Exactly.
totally respectful of anyone's choices in their life and be respectful of when talking to people and about people,
Hmm.
welcoming them, defending their right to live as they choose and employment
Hmm.
rights and everything else, but refuse to accept that, yes, if you are born a biological man, when you decide that you actually want to live as a trans woman, that you actually at that point are and have always been literally a woman.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, my mind is not capable of doing those sorts of mind-bending somersaults. I can't do that. So I can't
Yeah.
pretend to believe something I know not to be true. And I think most people can't. But that doesn't mean people are in any way dismissive of or a threat to or abusive of
Mhm.
trans people.
This is why we need to make the distinction between trans activists, who are misogynistic men's rights activists,
Yeah.
and trans people who just want to live their lives. The
Yes.
majority of trans people are very badly served by this. The way in which this debate has been framed is nothing short of sadistic. Excuse me, we're talking about Stalinist tactics and absolute gaslighting and Orwellian
Yeah.
doublethink constantly. And what we really have to do is look at what is in this for trans activists. Well, first of all, it tells women to shut your mouth without being seen as blatantly misogynistic, because they can frame themselves as being on the right side of
And
history.
being
As
victims.
Joan said, exactly. They suggest, in fact, they very blatantly state that they are victimized by women. Now, when women set up refugees, rape crisis centres, when feminists fought for the right to have some women only facilities, we did that because of male violence. We didn't say all men are rapists. We said enough men commit sexual assaults and domestic abuse, that we need to keep women safe. We never at any stage said the majority of men abuse women.
No.
This is why we need women only changing rooms, women only prisons, women only hospital wards. And there was barely a whisper, even from misogynistic men. Everybody understood that because enough men commit these crimes against women, we
Yeah.
need women only spaces. But when we actually say that trans women who are natal males, who commit acts of sexual violence to the same rate as do natal men because they've been raised as boys, when we say that we need those spaces to remain women only, all of a sudden we get accused of saying all trans women are sexual predators.
Which is quite
And we've
exactly no, and
never
no
said
one is
that.
suggesting that at all. I mean, and this is the issue. Just going back to J.K. Rowling, I mean, she is a very rich, very powerful, very influential woman. She has her own voice. She has her own platform. Attempts to cancel her have failed. But even like this HBO special, 20th anniversary of Harry Potter, and all of the actors and all of the people who've been involved had their careers made by her. They're going to go along. They've largely, most of them, I think, called her transphobic, and for what she has said, simply standing up for women's rights. Again, never uttered anything transphobic in her life. And she's being basically written out of her own creation by the people who she got to star in it. That, I mean, that is extraordinary. So even she, as powerful as she is still being there is still attempt to cancel her.
That it is a warning. As I said
Yeah.
before, This serves as a warning to all women. So if you look at what happened to me from since 2004, when I wrote a critical article in The Guardian about a natal man who claimed to be in good faith wishing to counsel rape victims because he said that he identified as a woman. I wrote a column. Since then, I've been intimidated, threatened, bullied, and followed around the world when I try to speak about male violence towards women and girls. I never ever the trans issue, and I've been cancelled all over the show. And that served as a warning to younger feminists with no public profile, to those in universities, to working class women who understood that we need to campaign against the kind of things.
But the thing is, a lot of people then don't think it's worth it and they don't speak out. But I'm so proud that you do, and you're a fighter on this issue, and J.K. Rowling as well. I'm so proud that you do, and you'll never be cancelled on this show. I'll tell you that, Julie. We'll have to leave it there. Time's against us, but Julie Bindel,